Tonight, the relentless social media push for a 51st state.
If you do not stand up to him, at some point he will treat you like a doormat.
Oh, Canada, the Prime Minister's reply to the ongoing online barrage of Donald Trump. New allegations of what brought down a passenger jet.
It does look consistent with a strike from a Russian air defense system.
The evidence, the experts, and witness accounts that tell the story.
Get a deal on a pair of boots.
Thinking of buying a drone.
Plus, looking to save on the big buys this Boxing Day.
I give or take like 8,000 to 10,000 people walk in today.
And the Christmas wish given away.
I found it pretty fun and I liked helping people.
Meet the Quebec teen making other people's dreams come true.
They said out of 100 and some kids that she's dealt with, she's never had any of them give a wish away.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Mirella Fernandez.
Good evening. The U.S. president-elect just won't let it go. Donald Trump is again trying to sell the idea that Canadians would be better off as Americans. On social media, he is even suggesting who should be the new governor of the 51st state. Today, our prime minister responded. CTV's Jeremy Sharon has more.
Two countries close in proximity and through political partnership. But President-elect Donald Trump has his sights set on Canada, and not only as the subject of tariff threats. In a Christmas Day post on his social media platform Truth Social, Trump makes reference to Governor Justin Trudeau of Canada, claiming that if we became the 51st state, taxes would be cut by 60%, businesses would double in size, and we'd be better military protected.
It's silly and disrespectful, and at some point, it's hard to ignore. At some point, it's hard to dismiss. He is the president-elect of the United States. He is threatening to impose severe tariffs on the country.
Trump's Christmas Day comments also included a post about encouraging Wayne Gretzky to run for prime minister, soon to be the governor of Canada. These just the latest in a string of similar public comments made by the president-elect.
I really wish that the prime minister would politely but firmly say, we are not a set of used golf clubs. This isn't Kijiji. Canada is not for sale. Now let's get down to business.
The Prime Minister has yet to directly address the comments, but today shared a link to this video on social media platform X.
In the long history of sovereign neighbors, there never has been a relationship as close, productive, and peaceful as the U.S. and Canada.
A short film by NBC, which aired prior to the opening ceremonies of the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, explains Canada to Americans and highlights the country's close ties. But the Prime Minister's post offers up little context and doesn't directly address Trump's comments, which have sparked others to speak out. Former Bank of Canada governor and current economic advisor to the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, says this is carrying the joke too far, time to call it out and stand up for Canada. While in a year-end interview with CTV's Your Morning last week, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre had this to say.
My message to incoming President Trump is that first and foremost, Canada will never be the 51st state.
Tonight, we're learning two ministers will be in Palm Beach, Florida tomorrow to meet with Trump's team. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly and Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc will discuss Canada's border security plan and the negative impacts tariffs could have. Mirella?
CTV's Jeremy Sharon in Ottawa for us tonight. There is an alarming allegation being made about the crash of a passenger jet yesterday. 38 people died when the jet, on its way to Grozny in Russia, flew way off course and came down in a ball of fire in Kazakhstan. Tonight, there are accusations that Russia targeted the plane, perhaps mistaking it for a Ukrainian drone. CTV's Kamal Karamali with the new images of the damage to the jet.
These are the final moments seen from inside the Azerbaijan Airlines aircraft before it crashed. The Christmas Day flight filled with passengers wearing oxygen masks, the video capturing damage to the plane's wing. Footage from the ground shows the aircraft falling and rising erratically. before plummeting into a ball of fire in Kazakhstan. 38 people killed, 29 others injured. Now, new allegations today. Russian defense systems struck the plane. Parts of the aircraft seen dotted with holes, appearing to be some sort of shrapnel damage.
It does look consistent with a strike from a missile from the Panzer S, which is a Russian air defense system.
The aircraft was flying out of Azerbaijan's capital Baku to Grozny, Russia, but not far from its destination, the plane instead started flying in the opposite direction, diverting away from an area where Russia has frequently used its air defense systems against Ukrainian drones. The aircraft crossing the Caspian Sea and eventually crashing on Kazakh soil.
I think there's a high probability that what the government of Azerbaijan has concluded is what happened, that being that a Russian air defense system misidentified the plane.
But Russia and Kazakhstan have been quick to downplay the speculation, the Kremlin saying it won't comment until the investigation is complete.
And Canada's foreign ministry has now said it's deeply concerned about these reports that Russian air defense may have struck the aircraft and is calling on Russia for an open and transparent investigation. Marilla.
All right, Kamal, some questions to be answered there. 10 years ago, a Malaysian airliner crash landed in Ukraine. Many of those killed were Dutch, so the Netherlands led an inquiry. Investigators determined the passenger plane had been brought down by a Russian-made missile. All 298 people on board were killed. At the time it was struck, the plane was flying over an area of Ukraine that was occupied by Russia. Moscow has always denied being involved in the tragedy. At least 3 people have been killed by a round of Israeli airstrikes that hit Yemen. Yesterday, a drone and ballistic missiles were fired towards Israel. Yemen's international airport has been badly hit, and that's where the head of the World Health Organization was trying to board a plane. He was not injured. In Syria, over a dozen police officers have been killed in what's being called a deadly ambush. The country's new government says the officers were targeted by supporters of recently ousted Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The government vows to crack down on those responsible. Almost 6,000 prisoners have escaped from a high-security prison in Mozambique. 33 detainees died trying to get out, and 29 convicted terrorists are among those who did escape from the facility just outside of the capital, Maputo. The police chief is calling for all the prisoners to surrender. Prayers and tears mark 20 years since the century's deadliest natural disaster. In 2004, a 9.2 magnitude earthquake unleashed a tsunami in the Indian Ocean. Towering waves swept away the lives of an estimated 230,000 people from Indonesia to Thailand. It demolished villages and coastal areas in at least 14 countries, and experts warn it could happen again. Health officials are issuing a warning about a brand of pet food being linked to bird flu. A strain of the avian flu was found in the American brand Northwest Naturals raw feline turkey recipe. It is being recalled after a house cat in Oregon died. Officials say the same brand is sold in BC, and anyone who purchased it is being asked to throw it away. The bird flu is one of 2 viruses Canada's top doctor, Theresa Tam, is keeping a close eye on as we head into a new year. Canada's only confirmed patient, a BC teen, fell ill and was hospitalized in November. The H5N1 strain has been on the rise globally, decimating poultry farms in Canada. Tam is urging farmers and people who keep backyard birds to wear personal protective equipment. She's also concerned about a measles comeback, pushing parents to make sure their kids' vaccines are up to date. A choking hazard involving plush toys has prompted a nationwide recall, with Health Canada warning families to check any stuffed animals. The mother and baby plush toys brand includes giraffes, elephants, lions, tigers, and pandas, which don't meet safety standards. Health Canada says the hard plastic guys can come off and be swallowed by a child. Shoppers were out in full force hunting for Boxing Day bargains, but small businesses are facing big holiday pressure to try and bounce back from a soft sale season. CTV's Alex Karpa reports.
It's one of the busiest shopping days of the year.
Deal, deal, deal.
Boxing Day sees thousands of people head to the malls to find great deals.
We are expecting a lot of customers, and today, like I said, is one of the biggest ones. So I give or take like 8,000 to 10,000 people walk in today.
Although the bigger box stores are seeing the masses, for some smaller businesses, it's been a hard holiday season.
It's still going to be slow.
2024 saw many disruptions for retailers, two port strikes, the railway dispute, and most recently the Canada Post strike, which heavily impacted holiday deliveries.
The strike didn't help because our comic shipments would be delayed because now all the couriers are trying to deliver all the mail too.
Boxing Day traffic has seen a decline over the last few years, but retail analyst Doug Stevens says this year could be a little different.
We continue to see gift card sales increasing, sort of bucking the trend. So more and more consumers are getting gift cards, and more of those cards, of course, are going to be used after the holiday on a day like today.
Steven believes there is a place for physical retail, but says businesses should really focus on their online presence.
Shipping times are much faster now, sometimes a matter of hours, not even days or next day shipping, but hours. So yeah, online continues to grow, and it continues to outpace physical retail for sure.
An RBC Economics report from earlier this month showed retail spending slowed in November, but even with the decline, the report says that Canada is on track for a slight increase in in-person retail spending in the fourth quarter for the first time since mid-2022. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Coming up, the high cost of living crisis.
I'm finding it harder. Everything is going up.
Soaring inflation and a shrinking economy have Canadians facing tough choices in 2025. For many Canadians, it has been another year of scrimping and saving. Inflation has been coming down, so have interest rates, but it still feels like a tough year. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports tonight.
A year of economic uncertainty brought a cost of living crisis to the forefront for many Canadians.
Being a single senior now, I'm finding it harder. Everything is going up.
Top of mind for consumers, the daily cost of groceries, devouring some household budgets.
I can't buy certain fruits, certain vegetables because it is not in my budget.
Stop the war! Leading to protests last winter at grocery stores across the country. Overall, grocery store purchases cost an average of 2.7% more in October of 2024 compared with 2023, with staples like onions, fruit juices, and peppers taking the largest price jumps. With a weakening Canadian dollar over the last 12 months, the cost Canadians are forking over for fruits and vegetables shipped into Canada from south of the border is pushing grocery bills even higher, according to finance experts.
Now we're paying $1.41 to buy $1 American, and that's significantly more than we were paying this time last year.
The year that was also began with soaring interest rates and difficult decisions for thousands like the Coopers in Dorchester, Ontario, who were facing a mortgage renewal in the spring.
We did get a rate at 1.7% at this house during the pandemic at the end of 2020. Yeah. And now we know that rates are looking in the 5-ish range.
And it's a luck of the lottery, really, where in that 5-year period they've had to renew their mortgage.
The Bank of Canada did reach its inflation target of 2%. Those who renewed their mortgage later in the year or those with a variable rate did receive some reprieve, with interest rates dropping from 5 to 3.25%. Consumer spending also showed signs of growth as the year progressed, with the federal government attempting to add a sweetener in the form of a temporary holiday tax break. Though as the year comes to a close, there are signs that the country may already be in a recession. Some believe that the number of immigrants Canada has welcomed has kept GDP growth afloat, but that could be coming to an end.
It does tilt towards a softer economic outlook, a softer outlook for GDP growth than we published in October. The government has lowered their immigration targets for next year. That's likely to pull GDP growth down next year.
With the calendar set to turn on another fiscal year, some Canadians are keeping the challenges of 2024 in perspective.
Our parents went through a depression, and they survived, and they're stronger for it.
We can get through this.
Yeah, we can get through this.
That sense of optimism may be tested as we look ahead, with the annual price of groceries expected to cost the average family an additional $800 in 2025, and with a looming tariff threat by the Trump administration that could send Canada's economy into a full-blown tailspin. Adrian Goldrill, CTV News, Toronto.
As Adrian mentioned, this was a year many Canadians still felt the sting of inflation. But once it slowed, interest rates started falling, and they kept going.
Price pressures are no longer broad-based, and both our measures of core inflation are now below 2.5%. Our surveys also find that businesses and consumer expectations of inflation have shifted down and are nearing normal. All this suggests we are back to low inflation. This is good news for Canadians.
The Bank of Canada adjusts the interest rate on 8 fixed dates a year. It started at 5% in January and gradually dropped, with 3 reductions of 25 basis points and then 2 of 50 basis points, ending the year at 3.25%. Still ahead, from helpless to hopeful. Game-changing technology to heal the body and mind. The puck dropped on the World Juniors, with Canada on home ice in Ottawa, looking to rebound from last year's disappointing 5th place finish.
Knocked out. Now stolen by Canada. Here comes Eastern Canada. Shoots! 2-0 Canada.
Canada got off to a strong start, shutting out Finland 4-0 in their tournament opener. We think of video games as a fun escape, but they're proving to be much more than that. They're being used in therapy to help challenge people, both physically and mentally, while they heal. CTV's Kathy Lee has more.
I can do it. Karl Sawatsky is leveling up his gaming skills. But he's also doing something else more important.
Like the hand-eye coordination, I think it's helping kind of rebuild those connections to the brain.
Rehabilitation through gaming, a program Sawatsky never thought he needed until a rare diagnosis in January where his body's immune system attacked his nervous system.
I was like full quadriplegic for a while there in the ICU. Had to have the breathing tube and everything.
For patients like Sawatsky, adaptive gaming therapy has been a game changer, helping patients gain and regain cognitive and physical skills.
The Foothills Medical Center has offered video games in its rehab therapy program before, but what is new is the availability of this equipment that now makes video gaming more accessible to patients.
If a patient has hemiparesis of one side, we can adapt a regular controller so that it's just one-handed. We can change the color settings if they're having cognitive impairments.
The adaptive gaming system is expensive. That's where Makers Making Change comes in.
We'll work with the center to either get them a grant to purchase all this gaming gear, or if we have grant funding at the time, we'll give it to them. And then I do all of the training.
This is awesome.
2 months into the program, Sawatsky is seeing results.
A lot of function has been coming back in my hands. I've gone from being able to barely sit on my own to now we're starting to actually walk using a walker.
And it's helped him not just physically, but gaming is an escape.
It's just nice to have something a little more, kind of more normal in a way.
Sawatsky will be discharged next month, but his game plan for recovery continues well beyond that. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Still ahead. One teen, one wish, and a gift that will grow. We leave you tonight with the story of a teen who has had to put his dream on hold. But instead of feeling sorry for himself, he's decided to share the good fortune that did come his way with his entire community. CTV's Kelly Gregg has that.
Jerry McAdam is a self-described man of few words.
This is the couplings that hatch on to
hydrants and stuff.
But he opens up when he talks about firefighting.
Spare nozzles.
He's not an official part of the crew yet. After all, he's just 16 years old. But he's been going on calls with his dad since he was little.
I found it pretty fun and I liked helping people, so I was like, I'll stick around.
It seems Jerry has always had a passion for firefighting. This is him at 4 years old. In a Halloween costume his parents said he refused to take off.
I'm in the middle of fighting a fire right now.
Here he is putting out a pretend fire in his treehouse. And at 9 years old, learning how to break a window, standard training for car crash responses. But 3 years ago, he got news he never expected. Jerry was diagnosed with sarcoma, a rare form of tissue cancer. His parents by his side as he's had round after round of chemo.
Challenging. It's hard to see him go through it and have to struggle.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation offered to give him anything he wanted.
I didn't really know what to use it for, so I was like, I'll just set this aside for now.
But instead of choosing something for himself, he's decided to pay it forward.
This isn't, a normal wish. This is so special.
They said out of 100 and some kids that she's dealt with, she's never had any of them give a wish away.
This is the future site of a firefighter's training facility. So volunteers in Hemmingford don't have to spend more than an hour to get to the nearest one.
Would give us a lot more access to training, quicker times, easier.
For his father, it was a proud moment, but one that was tinged by concern.
Felt, in a way, I felt guilty because I had talked about it in that. I felt like he was giving his wish away because of something I had said.
Jerry's passion for firefighting, born out of the same desire to help others.
Could have done other stuff for himself, and to turn it over to help us, the fire service, and the communities around. It's amazing.
The expected cost to build the center is $80,000. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is kicking in $8 and helping Jerry fundraise.
So this is my locker.
His dream of becoming a firefighter is at odds with the battle he's currently facing.
The strength that he's showing and to take and keep going and keep trying to still improve everything around him.
The young man who doesn't say much, letting his actions speak louder than words ever could. Kelly Gregg, CTV News, Hemmingford.
That's a wrap on the day. Thanks for sharing your time with us. For all of us here at CTV National News, good night. I'll see you tomorrow.